Have you ever wondered what would happen if two of the most explosive personalities in entertainment history ended up on the same couch at the same time? Well, according to a viral story that has been circulating for years, Hollywood legend Jack Nicholson allegedly stormed onto the set of The View, got into a screaming match with Joy Behar, and was physically escorted off the soundstage by security before the commercial break even ended. The headline, "Jack Nicholson kicked off The View after heated clash with Joy Behar," has been shared millions of times across social media platforms and keeps popping up every few months like a bad rash that just won't go away. People love this story because it combines everything we crave: drama, a legendary actor, a controversial host, and the delicious idea that someone finally told Joy Behar exactly what millions of viewers have been thinking for decades. The story usually claims that Jack was a guest promoting one of his later films, probably The Bucket List or something borrowed. When the conversation turned political, Joy apparently made a snarky comment about conservatives or Republicans or maybe even Jack's personal friend Donald Trump, and that's when the Joker supposedly snapped. He allegedly called her a loudmouth know-it-all, stood up, pointed his finger right in her face, and delivered a 10-minute tirade that left the entire audience gasping and Whoopi Goldberg desperately trying to cut to commercial. But here's the first twist: nobody can ever find the actual clip, no matter how many times people swear they saw it live on ABC that day. There are no archived episodes, no YouTube uploads, no even blurry phone footage from someone in the audience, which is strange because The View films in front of a live studio audience every single weekday, and yet somehow this nuclear-level meltdown completely vanished from existence, almost like it never happened at all. Still, the legend grows with every retelling, and honestly, can you blame people for wanting to believe it? Let's go deeper into the supposed incident. As the details get wilder the longer the story circulates. Some versions say Jack walked onto the stage already in a bad mood because producers had kept him waiting backstage for 45 minutes while the ladies finished a hot topic about menopause or something equally thrilling. When he finally sat down, Joy greeted him with what she thought was playful banter, asking if he was still chasing women half his age like he did back in his wilder days. Jack reportedly smirked that famous devilish grin and fired back something like, "Only the ones who can keep up, sweetheart," which got a big laugh from the audience. But then apparently Joy pushed it further, suggesting that men like him were the reason women needed me too, and that's when the temperature in the room allegedly shot up 30 degrees. Jack leaned forward, stared directly into her eyes, and according to internet lore said, "Listen, sweetheart, I've been making audiences uncomfortable since before you learned how to put on lipstick, and I don't need a third-rate cum Diane telling me about women's rights while she's wearing a blouse that costs more than most people make in a week." The crowd apparently went dead silent. Whoopi tried to pivot to talking about his Oscars, but Jack wasn't done. He kept going, supposedly calling the entire panel a bunch of washed-up hens who wouldn't know real talent if it sat on their face. Security was called, producers were running around like headless chickens, and within 6 minutes Jack Nicholson, the man who once mooned an entire film crew for laughs, was being escorted out of the building while allegedly shouting, "I've worked with Scorsese, Kubrick, and you think I'm gonna sit here and take this from the cast of a daytime cluckfest?" And that, my friends, is the version that has been copied and pasted across Facebook since about 2011 with only minor changes each time it resurfaces. Now here comes the part where we have to put on our detective hats, because something about this story has always smelled fishier than a boardwalk in July 1st. Jack Nicholson hasn't done a daytime talk show appearance in decades. The man famously hates morning television. He once told an interviewer that he doesn't wake up before noon for anything less than $1 million, and even then he'd rather stay in bed. His last major talk show rounds were for movies like As Good As It Gets and Anger Management, both on late-night shows with hosts he actually liked: Leno, Letterman, Conan, never The View. Second, The View keeps extremely detailed records of every guest who has ever appeared dating back to 1997, and Jack Nicholson's name is simply not on the list. Not once, not even during the Barbara Walters era when she could get literally anyone to show up. Third, and this is the big one, there are zero contemporary reports from the time this supposedly happened. No Entertainment Tonight segment, no Page 6 blind item, no TMZ photos of Jack storming out of the ABC studios, nothing. The first time this story appeared in anything resembling written form was on the now defunct court satire website that literally had the word fake in its URL, but people shared the screenshot anyway because they wanted it to be true so badly, and once one Facebook page posted it with the headline in all caps, "Suddenly grandmothers in Ohio were texting their daughters that Joy Behar finally got what was coming to her and the urban legend was born." So why does this particular fake story refuse to die? Because it's the perfect wish fulfillment fantasy for a certain segment of the population. Joy Behar has been a lightning rod for conservative anger for over 25 years. She says provocative things, she laughs at her own jokes, she refuses to back down, and that drives a lot of people absolutely insane. Meanwhile, Jack Nicholson represents the ultimate badass Hollywood alpha male, the guy who can say anything to anyone and get away with it because he's Jack freaking Nicholson, courtside at Lakers games with a drink in one hand and a beautiful woman in the other, telling directors to kiss his ass and still winning Oscar into his 70s. Putting those two forces together and imagining Joy Behar reduced to a stammering mess while Jack drops truth bombs like grenades is basically political catnip for people who hate The View. It doesn't matter that it never happened, the fantasy is just too delicious to let go, and every time Joy says something controversial on air the story gets dredged up again like clockwork. Remember when she said something about Trump that made people mad? Boom, here comes Jack Nicholson riding in on a white horse to destroy her. Remember when she wore that shirt that one time? Here's Jack again calling her a communist in front of a live studio audience. It's the gift that keeps on giving for people who live to own the libs even when the owning is completely fictional. There's actually a whole cottage industry of these completely made-up celebrity meltdowns aimed specifically at The View. Whoopi Goldberg supposedly walked off after an argument with Meghan McCain. No, she didn't. Meghan herself allegedly stormed out crying after Joy called her a spoiled brat. Also never happened. Elizabeth Hasselbeck returned for one episode and destroyed everyone with facts and logic that was a dream someone had after eating bad sushi. Tom Selleck came on and left Joy speechless by praying on air that actually did happen, but it was nowhere near as dramatic as people claim. The View is like the way of daytime television. People want blood, people want chairs thrown, people want someone to finally stand up and tell these women to shut up, and every few months some blogger with a grudge writes another fake story about how it finally happened, and the same photos get recycled. Jack's face photoshopped onto some random guy being escorted by security, Joy looking shocked in a screen grab from 2009, and suddenly it's 2025 and your uncle is sharing it again with a comment about time somebody said it. The really funny part is that Jack Nicholson is exactly the kind of guy who probably would do something like this if he ever did go on The View, which makes the lie even more believable. He really did once tell an interviewer to perform a physically impossible act on himself live on television. He really did moon people. He really did party with Roman Polanski and Charlize Theron at the same time. The man is a walking legend of not giving a damn. So when people read that he called Joy Behar a name and got kicked off, they think, yeah, this sounds exactly like something Jack would do.